I look forward to being a mayor for every single person that calls this city home. Not just those who voted for me in the Democratic primary, not just those that vote for me in this general election, but all 8.5 million New Yorkers. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers who may have concerns or opposition to the positions that I've shared about Israel and Palestine. You know, just a few weeks ago, I was on the M57, the slowest bus in New York City. And as I was seated there, there was a speech therapist who was sitting next to me. She told me that she was Jewish. She said that her daughter was a huge fan, but that she was not yet decided on who she was going to vote for. And she shared to me about her fears in this city, about rising anti-Semitism. And I told her what I will tell New Yorkers today, which is that I will be the mayor who doesn't just protect Jewish New Yorkers, but also celebrates and cherishes them, who doesn't just increase funding to hate crime prevention programs by 800%, who doesn't just ensure that the NYPD are outside of synagogues and temples on the high holy days, but also actually delivers on the implementation of the Hidden Voices curriculum in our school system so that children in this city learn about the beauty and the breadth of the Jewish experience right here in the 5 boroughs.
Okay, I've got a different. Yeah, but can I just comment on that, please? You know, not everything is a TikTok video. You're the savior of the Jewish people? You won't denounce globalize the Intifada, which means kill Jews. There's unprecedented fear in New York. It was not several rabbis, Errol. It was 650 rabbis who signed the letter, not several.
What the hell's going on in New York, man? Shalom, I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. It's your brother Rabbi Knapp coming out with a lesson, Lord's will set a fine to the Lord's elect. As you can see, it's always about Amalek, man. But I think they're saying something about Mamdani being a, I don't know what the hell they're saying about Mamdani. But Cuomo's trying to get back in there. Who cares? Trump responds to Colombia president's threat as U.S. war on cartels intensifies.
The president of Colombia in a recent interview said that if you won't change, he thinks that people should get rid of you.
We're talking about now Colombia, the country, not the university.
Yes.
Go ahead. He said what?
He said that if you won't change, then perhaps you need to be gotten rid of. Do you view that as a threat?
Well, he's a thug and bad guy. He's a guy that is making a lot of drugs. We've just, as of today, stopped all payments going to Colombia, the country Colombia. Also, the school Colombia. No, we settled. We made a settlement with him. But no, he's a thug, and he's a bad guy, and he's hurt his country very badly. They're doing very poorly, Colombia. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They grow all sorts of crap that's drugs, bad drugs coming into the United States, goes generally through Mexico. And he better watch it or we'll take very serious action against him and his country. His country is, what he has led his country into is a death trap. Please.
As the Secretary General presented his Ukraine peace plan to you, are you prepared to be chairman of the board of peace?
Oh, there is no Secretary General peace plan. But I'm here, I really want to correct it because I saw some of that in the media. Of course, many people are thinking how to bring this terrible war to an end and supporting the president in doing that. Why I'm here is to dialogue again with the president how I can be, how NATO, my colleagues and other colleagues in NATO can be of maximum support to get that done. But there is no peace plan on the table. If there is a peace plan, it is what the president said last Friday and Sunday, which is stop where you are, stop the fighting.
This is about NATO. We're a very proud member of NATO. We have a great relationship with the countries of NATO. I think made much better by our visit a few months ago.
Hold on. He just blew your spot up, Duck. He said there is no peace plan with Israel. See, these devils, man, you can't just let them talk, man, because they tell you shit without really, they ain't righteous with it. They ain't gonna tell you the truth like, we don't got a peace plan. We kind of put that out there to throw y'all off. They're not gonna talk to you like that. They make it in something like this real quick, and it'll blow past you, and then later on they'll be like, I told you, see, look at it, I said it right here. And then he diverted the whole attention to something else completely different to what he was saying. And that's always the play. That's that speaking with a double tongue, or that forked tongue.
that done. But there is no peace plan on the table. If there is a peace plan, it is what the president said last Friday and Sunday, which is stop where you are, stop the fighting.
This is about NATO. We're a very proud member of NATO. We have a great relationship with the countries of NATO. I think made much better by.
Well, that's how Snake talks. So there's no peace plan. Not that there ever was a peace plan. There's never, even if he did have a peace plan, they all sat down and shook their head and said, "Yeah, that none of that matters, man." It's just been like that. His foreign policy, not just the duck, but Esau's foreign policy is war. That's it. There's no other way around it. It's war. Now he look like he's talking about Colombia. Now he's a thug. Now he's this, that, and the third. The shit that you seen in Venezuela, he gonna do that to pretty much all of Southern America. Okay, I can see him doing that to Mexico. He already started doing that. That's why you don't even hear about Mexico anymore. He got all these troops at the border. He said he was going to go against the cartels. You don't really hear about that in the news as much. Now he's hyper-focused on Venezuela, but he's probably doing shit in Mexico. But he's having you look at Venezuela like that's the main thing. But whatever he's not telling you is the issue. You ain't going to hear about it until it's too late. It's already finished. So you got to watch him, man. Okay? Because the prophecy's being fulfilled every single day. Little by little, you could see it. But you got to watch. You got to pay attention to what's going on. He just did a $20 billion deal in Argentina. Okay? You know, in the book of Obadiah, it talks about they that eat thy bread have deceived thee. Okay? So I wouldn't be surprised when all hell kicks off that all of the resources he's allocated in these areas are going to come to naught, or he's going to have it fund them in some weird way, because he's supposedly grabbing beef from Argentina and all this other crap, man. I mean, it's big business deals, but it's supposedly, he also said that's going to bring down the price of beef. That's a lie. Why is it a lie? Because the scriptures tell you in Ezekiel, the 5th chapter, the Lord's going to increase the famine until he breaks your staff of bread. Okay, he tells you in Revelation, the 6th chapter, measure of barley for a penny. Okay, so all these deals that he's supposedly implementing to make this place better again, they're not going to happen. Okay, because according to prophecy, because the Lord ain't going to have it happen that way. All right, let me grab this in the book of Lamentations, the 3rd chapter. Because the Lord said so. Lamentations 3, verse, what's that? Lamentations 3, it's 37. Who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commandeth it not? Yeah, who is he? Who's the duck to say, command something and the Lord commanded it not? He just talks. A lot of the things he's saying, I'm going to make America great again. Says who? The Lord ain't say he going to make someplace great again. So what are you talking about? All right. Jeremiah 51. I'll start at the top. Babylon judged for sins against Israel, which is the nation of Israel, which is all you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Jeremiah 51 and 1. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. Okay, so this destruction is coming to Babylon. All right. And this destroying wind, that's not to make this place better. Right, that destroying wind is to do exactly what it says, to destroy you. Okay, so all of these policies and all of that, the end of it is destruction. Everything is going to lead to the fact that Jeremiah 51 and 1 is being fulfilled. Jeremiah 51 and 2, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her. Okay, then now these fanners are these, North Korea would be considered a fanner because they also have nuclear capability. They're not going to be the main ones starting the fight, but they're going to participate in making it burn. And that shall fan her, meaning when you blow air into fire, it increases it. Well, that's what the thermonuclear missiles are going to do. These all that bend the bow shoot at her. Okay, and that's talking about all of these nuclear capable countries who are going to assist the Medes and the Persians in their or most importantly the Medes in coming up against Babylon. And shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Talking about these different nations. When you look into this word fanners, it goes into foreigners.
Strong's H2114. Zur.
Zur. Okay. Or stranger. Estranged. Let me see. Strange, another stranger, foreigner, an enemy. Okay. So that's what it's talking about. Enemies. Esau got a lot of enemies. And who knows what Russia got around the world, because he said he's going to be a guard unto them. I wouldn't be surprised if Cuba got a nuclear missile at this point. I don't know if he can see it from the sky. I don't know if he has some tech to know where your nukes are at, but I'm just saying, through the spirit, there's some nations that may not be recognized as nuclear capable, but because Russia is being a guard unto them, when the time is ready, he gonna make sure they're all right. He gave some, I don't know if Belarus has it, but he definitely gave him some missiles when he got elected to be president. Lamentations 3, verse 37, the biblical, let me see if I can get the meaning. It means that no human word or plan can come to pass unless God has first commanded or ordained it. Okay, so a human like Duck, saying all this about whatever he's talking about, peace in the Middle East and all of this crap, that goes against Scripture. All right, Joel chapter 2 and verse 20. But I will remove far from you the northern army. So there's going to be a time when he's going to have to, he's already sent 200 of his military over there in the Middle East. All right, so there's boots on the ground in the Middle East from America. They're already there. Okay, just as supposedly with this ceasefire that's not happening, clearly there is no ceasefire over there, and he already got 200 troops over there. Okay, so if you ain't watching him, you don't see the play. There's already 200 troops over there. Next thing you know, it's just going to escalate. I'm waiting for the escalation and seeing what's going to happen, and I hope the Lord just keep me on my watch, man, so I can move when it's time to go, to keep him moving. Okay, and we'll drive him into a land barren and desolate, which is talking about Saudi Arabia when you understand the breakdown. With his face toward the East Sea, which is the Red Sea, and the hinder part toward the utmost sea, which is the Red Sea and the Euphrates River. Okay, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savior shall come up, because he have done great things. And Esau is always talking about doing great things. Fear not, O land, and be glad and rejoice, for the Lord will do great things. And the Lord's going to do great things when he judges this devil. All right. So back in Jeremiah 51 in verse 3. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. This is talking about thermonuclear missiles. These archers that bend the bow, the modern day bow is the silo. Okay, and the archers are those thermonuclear missile capable countries. Against him that lifteth up himself in his brigandine. A brigandine is, I believe that has to do with, like an army or something like that. Some type of armor. Yeah, it's armor. You lifting up yourself in your brigandine. Let's look this up. I want to see what Esau has to say about lifting yourself up in your brigandine. And spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Ultimately, this is talking about to the Medes. But we're going to see, actually, the fanners and everybody. Her hosts are her armies. which is Babylon's military. Destroy her hosts. Describe God's command for the destruction of Babylon, stating that her archers should shoot at her soldiers, should not hold back, leaving none of her young men or her entire army spared. The verse emphasizes divine judgment, showing that even those who are heavily armored are vulnerable to God's will and that all resistance is futile. It highlights the themes of justice, retribution for Babylon's actions, and the complete annihilation of its power. Okay, so all this is what I'm saying. What's that? When a bow struck one of the kings through his armor in the Bible, KJV. Can't think of the precept. This is 1 Kings or something like that. 1 Kings 22, but where Ahab, Ahab went into Ramoth Gilead and got put to death. And that's what's going to happen to Esau. 1 Kings 22 and defeat and death of Ahab in 29. So the kings of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead, and the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and enter into the battle, but put thou on thy robes. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle. But the king of Syria commanded his 30 and 2 captains that had rule over his chariot, saying, fight neither with small nor great, save only with the king of Israel. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariot saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, surely it is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him, and Jehoshaphat cried out. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, that they turned back from pursuing him. So he disguised himself during this battle. And they thought, you know what, just get his ass, but it wasn't him. And a certain man drew a bow, this is the point, at a venture, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness, wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, turn thine hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. Okay, so the point of the matter is, when the Lord wants to get your ass, even though he disguised himself as being somebody else, someone drew a bow and just shot it into the air, and it hit him through his armor. Okay, so that's divine judgment from the Lord. Okay, in the same way he did that to Ahab. And what did Ahab do to deserve this type of judgment? When you read about Ahab, let's get a recap on Ahab. You know, he was married to Jezebel. Ahab, why did the Lord kill Ahab? The Lord did not kill Ahab directly, but rather had him killed through a roundabout means as a result of his persistent wickedness, including the murder of Naboth and his promotion of idolatry. God had previously warned Ahab that he would suffer a similar fate to Naboth, and he ultimately died in battle when an undirected arrow struck him, fulfilling the prophecy. And that's what the Lord's going to do in Jeremiah 51 to Esau. Okay. That's what it makes me think of against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth up himself in his brigandine, and spare not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. So you might have all this armor, and the Lord gonna find where he can get you. He gonna find a little place where he can sneak up. That's what it talks about in Joel, I believe it's the 3rd chapter, where it talks about they shall not break their ranks, and then when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Going into his missile defense system, even your armor, your brigandine, you lifting yourself up, being proud like it can protect you, and the Lord's every arrow's gonna hit where it needs to hit. Okay, that's multiple arrows. This was one arrow, but the Lord got over 200 million coming this way. All right, that's utter destruction. That's worse than any fatality in Mortal Kombat. Okay, he gonna do you dirty. for the sins that you committed, and it's a divine judgment. It's something that's showing you that even your technology can't prevent what's happened. That's why the bear got all this technology, he got hypersonic missiles, because he was set up to bring this destruction. Okay, and because he's aligned with prophecy, whether he knows it or not, this is what's going to happen. Okay, 1 Kings 22 and 34, I just want to see how it breaks it down. Means a seemingly random arrow shot by an unidentified archer was divinely guided to kill King Ahab of Israel. And that divine guidance of that arrow to hit its target is the same thing the Lord's going to put in his spirit of these missiles that are coming over here. These missiles got a spirit on them, man. There's a video I was watching about how there was a lot of nuclear mishaps. There should have been multiple nuclear strikes already just by accident, but the Lord never even allowed it to happen. So that within itself is divine, because it don't fulfill prophecy. Okay, people dropping missiles from the sky, nuclear bombs. They don't detonate. You know, they trying to do some at the bottom of the sea that they just left there from different submarines crashing into each other during just all types of stuff, man, that never blew up or anything, because it was against the Lord's will. If the Lord wanted it to happen, it would have happened. That's how you know that the Lord's controlling everything. Okay, demonstrating God's sovereign control over seemingly chance events and ensuring his prophetic word concerning Ahab's downfall was fulfilled despite the king's attempts to avoid it. And the same thing with you can disguise yourself and act like you're somebody you're not. The Lord sees you, man. Jeremiah 51:4, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. They that are thrust through in her streets. I mean, you're gonna get put to death. Jeremiah 51:4 signifies that God's judgment on Babylon will be a total and violent destruction, where her armies will be slain and fatally wounded, not only in the fields, but also in the very streets of the city. This prophecy foretells the complete annihilation of Babylon's power and is an expression of God's sovereignty and a warning against the pride and oppression of the city. The verse also has a dual purpose: to warn the people of Judah to flee Babylon and to show that God will ultimately vindicate his people. Well, yay and nay, because you know, when you read about what the Lord told Jeremiah to tell the Israelites to surrender to Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, and those who didn't listen in that time were destroyed. In this time, in modern day Babylon, you're supposed to arise and depart, for this is not your rest spiritually. Okay, the Lord is he told you in Zephaniah 3:8, wait ye upon me as I rise up to the prey. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So he's going to take all these nations, gather them to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and that includes the northern army. Okay, even though he's already over there. He might think he's over there to bring peace over there. But anytime you bring peace, you don't need to bring your military to make, I just want to make sure the peace still goes down. There was never any peace over there. He's just telling you that. He probably ramped it up over there. It's probably crazy, way more worse than what it was before he started talking this peace shit. Okay, even North Korea started doing nuclear tests and all that. So that doesn't line up with peace. Okay. Jeremiah 51:5, for Israel have not been forsaken. Israel meaning the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You haven't been forsaken, even though it's, these churches and Bible believers think that, the Lord's dealing with them and not the children of Israel. Now the children of Israel, which are his sons and his daughters, are still his. They ain't just neglect his kids and go choose some other nation because the kids were so bad. You know, they just broke my law so bad that I want to include the other nations. Then that makes nobody special. Okay? He says you're a peculiar people. All right? Let me grab that. I meant to grab this precept earlier and didn't even grab it. Deuteronomy, actually it's 7. Deuteronomy 7. And 6, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So that's where Israel's supposed to be, but because of their transgressions, they're not there. Isaiah 45:4, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Now this is talking about Cyrus, okay? But he's basically saying in this precept, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name, meaning calling you, he was an elect vessel that the Lord was going to use in order to bring some form of, not salvation, but he did restore the kingdom, okay, or allowed for the building of the second temple. All right. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me, because he was a heathen. Talking about Cyrus. Okay, a Persian. Okay. And the Persians took down the Babylon, or the Medes first in Daniel the 5th chapter, but the Persians, you know, according to Daniel, 7 and 8, somewhere around there, took down the Babylonians. But the Persians were that horn that was more exalted than the Medes. But not in this time, the Medes are more exalted than the Persians. And the Medes are going to be, which are the Russians, are going to be a guard unto the rest of these nations. Okay. Jeremiah 51:6, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Okay, so the way you flee is not to self-deport. Okay, the way you flee out of this is by serving the Lord, being more obedient, seeking him, taking the time out your day to put everything aside and focus on the Lord, giving him his time where you can just focus on him. And that's that time that you're doing to focus on him. That's the time that that's your sacrifice. Where you how do you say it? How you prioritize the Lord the best way you can, however you do that. Okay, you want to make sure you're prioritizing the Lord the best way you can. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. That's with your obedience. That's with seeking him, studying, reading, you know, focusing on him, praying, you know, asking and developing that relationship with the Lord, using his son as an example. You know, more importantly, you know, when you think about the disciples, that's a whole, I was thinking about doing a video on that, but that's for a whole nother topic. But the disciples moved differently than the rest of Israel. Even though there were other believers, the disciples weren't like the other believers. The disciples are more the elect. The scriptures talk about them judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So there's an elect within the elect. You can be the elect with just believing, but then there's an elect within the elect. That's a whole different. That's more holier than. It's not that they're more holier. They're separate for a specific purpose. Just like the disciples are separate for a specific purpose. Just like the prophets, they were separate. Moses was more separate for a specific purpose. Okay, so you know, even though not everyone has to teach that's within the elect. All right, Jeremiah 51 And 5 again, for Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Okay, and the Holy One of Israel is talking about Yahweh. Okay, Habakkuk 1 and in 12. Art thou not from everlasting, O Lord Yahweh, my God, mine Holy One? We shall not die, O Lord, thou hast ordained them for judgment, and Almighty God, thou hast established them for correction. And that's talking about the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, the elites of the Babylonia. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, which is a spiritual leaving. You got to leave your mindset, allocating time for the Lord, prioritizing the Lord above the lust of your lust. Okay, the world. Okay, the world will have you going one way, but prioritizing your Lord is pretty much adverse to the way the world wants you to go. The world wants you to have kids, buy a house, get married, and go sit your ass down somewhere and get old and die. Okay, but the Lord requires you to do something different than that. He wants you to suffer. He wants you to, of course, you want these things, but where was the Lord prioritizing your life in order to achieve these things? The Lord can give you all those things, but where are you prioritizing the Lord? Jeremiah 51:7. Salakia, be not cut off in her iniquity. Her is talking about Babylon. Her iniquity are her sins. Okay, being caught up in Babylon, man, that's pretty much you're the world. Okay, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, and which is the last days when he's going to actually judge Esau for all of his sins and the rest of these nations. He will render unto her recompense, meaning he going to pay her back due reward. Okay. Recompense is an archaic or less common variant of recompense, which means to give something as a reward, compensation, or amends for service, loss, or suffering. So you're going to get paid for your wickedness. Like it tells you in Galatians, the 6th chapter. Okay, we all got a due reward that we deserve. Galatians 6. Verse 7, be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Or you're going to reap what you sow, is what that's saying. Okay. Let me just grab it. Galatians 6:7 is a warning against spiritual hypocrisy. Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. It means that one cannot mock God by pretending to be spiritual while living a sinful life, because your actions will have consequences. The principle of reaping what you sow applies to both actions and their spiritual results. Sowing to the flesh leads to destruction, while sowing to the spirit leads to eternal life. And that's what Esau does. He sows if you sow into the flesh, I mean, you're pretty much following after Esau in his wickedness, man. Okay, if you worried about money, that's nothing. You know, it's vanity at the end of the day. You know, Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Okay, Colombia is mad. Especially Colombia. The president supposedly came here to New York and started protesting against the king of Babylon. Now look at him, money's not going over there. He gonna get cut off. Next thing you know, they're gonna do regime change over there. So I wouldn't be surprised after he does what, Venezuela opened the door. Hey, you got keys to the oil reserves. You can do whatever you want, man. Take as much as you want. Because he can't fight up against them. You're probably still gonna overthrow him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes into Colombia too. See what Colombia's resources are. What resources does Colombia have? Colombia offers many resources, including academic support like tutoring. Nah. Colombia, not the school, the country Colombia has extensive natural resources, including vast reserves of non-renewable materials like petroleum, coal, gold, silver, and emeralds, for which it is a major world producer. It also possesses renewable resources like fertile agriculture lands and the potential of hydroelectric power from its rivers. And don't believe, Esau covets all other minerals. The country also has reserves of ferronickel, copper, salt, marble, and limestone. Right now, the main thing Esau wants is earth minerals. Does Colombia have a lot of earth minerals? Yes, Colombia has a lot of earth minerals, including significant quantities of coal, gold, and emeralds. The country also possesses resources like nickel, platinum, silver, and petroleum. Yeah, he wants all of that. It has large reserves of various industrial minerals such as salt, limestone, and gypsum. Was it earth minerals? I forgot what he wanted from. I forgot what he called it. I think it's called. So I wouldn't be surprised. He's already starting this demonization campaign. He likes to demonize you first. Oh, they got all these drugs and all this, that, and the third. Next thing you know, I'm sending the CIA over there to make sure everything's all right. That's what he's going to tell you, stupid-ass Babylonians, man. And y'all going to clap your hands and be dumb as hell and don't even know that's part of your destruction. Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Babylon's talking about America. Okay, the cup is its Western philosophies. That's why people are protesting in other countries, even though they don't want those type of policies in their country. They don't want same-sex marriages in their countries. They don't want American algorithms in their TikToks and all of that, man. They don't want their people acting like you. I was just searching through X and it was showing how Kanye West is back on talking about his daughter. His daughter got fucking, I hope those ain't real tattoos on her face. Dude, this place is through, man. That's what your kids are gonna grow up and be demons, man. It'd be better if, I don't even want to say it, man. That's a degenerate generation after this. If it goes past this, man, forget about it. The women are done. They're disgusting, man. A lot of these women, they're just through. They're just through, man. Disgusting. All right? This place got to go. It's time to go, man. In the future, if it's up to Esau, he'll have you marry a robot, man. That's how degenerate the women are going to get. Your kids are just through, getting tattoos on their face and going on the internet all the time. And as crazy as he is, he makes plenty of sense. When it comes to your daughters and I want to see their daughter look like that, man. I can't believe she looks like that. And then, I don't want to talk about other people's families, but I'm using that as an example of how America turns you into a damn demon. This is that cup that the Lord, it don't make it, nobody wants that for their country is what I'm trying to say. I'm not getting on his family, man. Let the man raise his kid. But he ain't even your kids, man. These kids are Esau's. You in captivity. Jeremiah 51:8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. He's trying to heal her. I found another article. I found $31 billion from tariffs. Look how much, we're wealthy again. You down trillions of dollars, man. Trillions. Just because you stumble across 31 billion, you're in so much debt you can't fix it. Okay. The debt clock.
According to Wikipedia.
I don't care what Wikipedia says. Just give me the clock. U.S. national debt. It's like a damn casino. 38 trillion. 19 billion. No, 38 trillion, 19 billion, 963 million. So that don't even put a small dent in there, man. They don't put a small dent in there. And that's not even, it says debt per citizen is $110,000 a person. Yep. So, you need to find $31 billion a lot more times than once in order to get rid of this. All right? You're not in the plus. You're in the very far negative. As soon as you started talking about it, that 31 billion, all that money that you printed out before, that ain't putting the debt in that, man. But people probably believe that. Jeremiah 51:9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people are leaving, not because Duck is telling them to self-deport, but because it's a lot of people they see the future here, man. The rent, the Medicaid being affected, your SNAP benefits being taken away. When all of that's taken away, you look at what else do you have here? It's slavery, man. They take away the SNAP benefits. They take away your job. What do you have here? You don't want to be here. Okay? And there's nothing here. It's all a facade, man. It's a prison camp. Okay? So the sooner you learn that, you're going to be like, yeah, it's time to get the hell up out of here. And that's why you see a lot of people getting the hell up out of here. Because they came for the how can you say it? Ultimately the money, but when you're not from here, you look at America from the outside, you look at New York like, oh, I can go be a rapper. You think of Jay-Z and what's her face, man? Alicia Keys, you sound bright lights and shit like that. Lupe Fiasco and shit. That shit's fake, man. That's Hollywood. This shit is dirty, it's filthy. Not all places in New York, but it's a grind. You got to work every day. You can barely get any rest, and you're just constantly chasing the dollar. Next thing you know, 20, 30 years pass and you still ain't got shit. Slavery. Got you. But yet, you're getting taxed on everything. He robbed you every single day of your life. Every time you buy something, you're getting taxed on it. He's just here to rob you, man. He's a thief. All right? We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. He tried to heal her by quantitative easing. Trying to organize the government, finding where there's leaks and stuff. He's trying to take away your Medicaid. All of this stuff, it's not going to help her. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. And that's what's happening. Now you're seeing a forsakening of this place when you're not given free stuff. Now a lot of these decisions that you made in the past, they're catching up with you, man. The Lord's that's how the Lord does it. Now you got mad kids, mad baby, different fathers and shit. Now you sitting on 6, 7 kids. Scriptures tell you what's gonna happen in the famine. You got some little ones. You're gonna eat them, man. That's what the Bible says. You did it in 70 AD. You did it in the Babylonian siege. You're gonna do it here in America. Okay? Because that lack of understanding of the Lord, that's gonna catch up with you. That wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times. You ain't gonna have no wisdom and knowledge. You're gonna be done. Okay? Let us go everyone to his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Okay, all of her sins is finally coming to the Lord. There's a certain measure that each kingdom has before the Lord destroys it. Okay. Jeremiah, Job, Salakia 14 and 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. That's talking about Esau. Each kingdom has a certain days are determined, okay? Just like the Persians, the Medes, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans. America has its days being determined too. They just celebrated some 250th year anniversary or something. I don't know if it was the military, whatever it is, man, which is the average of a kingdom is supposed to last. Now, judging by the things that are going on in the world with the MOTB and these nations going in and Russia, that's all prophecy. The Euphrates River drying up, just everything, man. Your EBT, we're going on day 23 of 22 or 23 of the government shutdown, and they're talking about taking away your EBT, going into Isaiah 32. Isaiah 4:1 is right there. Revelation 13:16 is right there. Joel 2:20. It's all just lined up.
Our visit a few months ago when they agreed to 5% instead of 2% of GDP. That was a big concession. I think that was a concession that 2 years ago nobody would have said. Even a year ago.
Even 9 months ago, before you were elected.
Yeah, they would have said that's not possible. And the difference is they're paying 5% as opposed to not paying 2%. A lot of them weren't paying, with the exception of Spain. I think you're going to have to talk to Spain. Because Spain is not a team player. So other than...
And this nigga here gonna shoot nukes on this nigga here. This is the NATO... who is the head of NATO that came to America to visit Trump? What's his name? Rutte. Head of NATO visited Donald Trump in the United States. Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General. He met with Duck at the White House on October 22nd. Who is he? Mark Rutte is the NATO Secretary General and former Prime Minister of the Netherlands. When he visited the United States on October 21st and 22. He met with President Duck and other U.S. officials to discuss defense cooperation, support for Ukraine, and other transatlantic security issues. Okay. And he's a security issue. He don't know it though. Revelation 17. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And the Lamb's talking about Yahweh Shai. And the people who are going to make war with him are the beast, NATO, EU, all these nations are going to make war with the Lamb. He's going to destroy them. And he saith unto me, they're going to be fighting each other, but then the Lamb's going to come, okay, and destroy them, because the victory's for the Lamb. He's coming to get his glory, coming to get his kingdom, coming to get his elect. Okay, coming to destroy. Okay, he said he's not here to bring peace upon the earth, but a sword. That sword's also talking about thermonuclear destruction, separation, dividing. All right. Revelation 17, verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And that's talking about America. You got a multitude of different people. They all come here. That's where the horse sits. Okay, the horse talking about America, sitting on NATO and the EU. Okay, that's why NATO's here. Duck is sitting on them. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Okay, the 10 horns represent NATO and the EU. Okay, or that represents the EU, the 10 horns, with sauce on the beast, represents NATO. These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So they're going to switch up on her. And they're right now hugged up, being friends, okay? But it's all, when prophecy gets fulfilled, he gonna play his part too. Well, maybe not him. He's secretary, but whoever's calling the shots over there, ultimately it's the Lord.
Other than Spain, everybody's 100%. And you could solve the Spain problem very easily, I think, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Ain't gonna be no solving of nothing. Okay, what's else? Protests in Lower Manhattan. I don't care about that. Colombia's president threatens Trump as U.S. war on cartels intensifies. He's still blowing up ships. I've buried enough ICE agents, Tom Homan. I don't know if he got upper teeth or what's going on with the top of his mouth, but illegal immigrant shot and arrested after allegedly ramming car into feds. Now, why would an illegal immigrant do that?
I'm sorry, sir, you gotta leave. Hey, sir, you need to leave.
It was all on.
Whatever, man. This ain't just showing stupid shit. ICE, that's yesterday, I saw that. Violent anti-immigrant riots erupt in Ireland following sexual assault of a 10-year-old. Insane, man. Insane. Let me see this just now.
Diablo's Wood Demon, Ultimate.
He just indiscriminately killing people out there.
Times more than
This is probably old footage, man. Old footage. Nope, it says October 17th. So he blew up a boat. So what? That looked like a powdery smoke to me. He blowing boats up, man. All right. Yeah, he's so peaceful, man. Every time I see him, he's just doing all this peaceful stuff. Cuban immigrants sent to African prison under U.S. deportation program. Let me see this.
People detained by ICE agents are either deported back to their home country or a third country, like Africa, for being in the country illegally and having a criminal record. The case of one Cuban man is raising questions about the fraught deportation process. Our Christian De La Rosa with the story.
This is me and my dad.
Monica Mosqueda felt it was cruel. Her dad was taken by ICE.
A couple days before Father's Day.
Mosqueda says her father, Roberto, went for an annual check-in with immigration agents back in June and was taken into custody. But instead of being deported to his native Cuba, he was sent to Africa.
How we go from one moment of me hugging my dad and being with him all the time and just being his little girl, and then to he's just on a different country and just in prison. For what? If he did his time years ago, why is he in prison?
The 58-year-old is one of at least 5 men sent to a maximum security prison in the Kingdom of Eswatini over the summer, a small country in Africa.
What the hell is I never even heard of this country. Oh, but I don't mean to laugh, man. It's just so ridiculous, man. Where is Eswatini in Africa? Eswatini is a landlocked country in southern Africa, border by the South Africa to the northwest and south, and Mozambique to the northeast. Just show me where it's at on the map, man. Okay. It looks like southeast. I don't know why I'm saying northwest and all this other. Oh, it's saying Mozambique is to the north, but east. Eswatini. So you getting shipped to East Africa, and you from Cuba. It don't take you spending way more fuel and money to go across the world than it is to just go back to Cuba. Why do you think he's doing that, man? Just so he can violate you, man. So he can violate you. He's probably doing hard forced labor over there, making you sow Chinese goods, and then he gonna be selling to you talking about made in China or made in Africa by another American. Okay, this is where he's gonna get his cheap labor. Walmart. This is where your stuff's gonna be coming from, all the cheap shit you like so damn much. But like he said, man, he about to crack all this down, man. And y'all ain't ready for it. Yeah, fuck that. When it's time, the Lord's gonna show it, and it's gonna be time to move. And see you later.
Africa criticized for alleged human rights abuses. The move.
See, human rights abuses. That's what he wants to do. That's why it says the cruel Lord. Okay. The cruel Lord was thinking Isaiah the 19th chapter. Let's look this up. Let's see what AI, if they stepped it up. Isaiah 19:4 is a prophecy predicting that God will hand Egypt, which is America, over to a cruel master and a fierce king, leading to a time of harsh oppression and subjugation. Okay, that sounds like it's harsh sending you to East Africa to do something cruel to you. This harsh rule is a consequence of Egypt's internal strife and turning to idols for guidance. While it can be seen as a prophecy fulfilled multiple times historically, some scholars also interpret the cruel master as a foreshadowing of a future ruler and believe that the chapter ultimately points to a future restoration and spiritual revival in Egypt and the surrounding nations. Yeah, so Africa is going to get a spiritual revival? No. Okay. And a fierce king will rule over them. This points to a specific severe ruler who will have total authority over Egypt. And that's talking about the duck. All right, the duck is going to be a fierce ruler, cruel king. Only someone cruel will send you somewhere where you don't even belong, where you don't even speak the language, so he can oppress you. And he can wash his hands. I didn't know they were doing that to you over there, you know. But by then, you probably might die over there. Now he's pulling you. He can use your record that you did. He's 58 years old, probably went to jail when he was 16, you know, back in the day. And he's probably using that against him. That's what the feds do. They use your past, you know. And the feds are immigration. That's the feds doing this shit. Okay, and the way they do things is completely different than your state laws.
Move part of the Trump administration's third country rights abuses. The move part of the Trump Watini over the summer, a small country in Africa criticized for alleged human rights abuses. The move part of the Trump administration's third country deportation program. Critics say it impedes detainees' right to due process.
Because of his past, it was really hard for him to get his papers.
The Department of Homeland Security highlighted Roberto Mosquera as the worst of the worst, stressing he was a convicted murderer. His loved ones say not true.
It's kind of messed up that you guys
Convicted murderer.
DHS highlights worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens arrested in Florida, including murderers, pedophiles, and rapists ahead of opening the alligator Alcatraz.
His loved ones say, not true.
It's kind of messed up that you guys are labeling my father as a murderer.
We found Mosqueda has a lengthy criminal record in Miami.
Let's look at your record. Damn, you 58 years old. You catching charges 4 years ago at 54 for battery. Bad boy. But that could have happened to anybody. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do and deal with the consequences later, man. Then you got multiple batteries. Battery. Assaulted, aggravated assault, disorderly conduct, damn. And you was catching charges in 85. Robbery, armed robbery with a weapon. Forced robbery the next day. Then he caught one in 10-15. Then he probably bailed out, caught something else on 10-16-19. Forced robbery. And then 13 days later, you catch a burglary. What? How did you do that? It must have been wild in the 80s, man. Second degree grand theft in 1980s. Yeah, you had to have been young. What's that? 15 plus 25. That's about 40 years ago. So you were around 18 years old when he was doing this dumb shit. 89. I mean, I don't know how the fuck he did all of this shit.
Miami-Dade, and it shows he was convicted, not for murder, but for attempted murder back in the 80s. His attorney telling Local 10 News he served his time in jail for every single crime and spent years getting his life back on track.
He is a plumber. Very, very hard work.
That's where they go. Those are the jobs they get. People, that's an industry that accept all types of criminals, man. All types of criminals going to the locals. Bunch of gangsters, bunch of thugs. Now they turning wrenches, you know. But that's just crazy, man. Even the fact he been charged, went to jail, did the time, Esau don't give a fuck. He don't pardon you, man. He'll still lock you up. Ultimately, it's the Lord, man. You know, ultimately, everything's the Lord. You know, most of the time, you get caught for things, but sometimes you don't get caught for crimes. The Lord sees all this stuff, man. Ain't no one really innocent of anything.
His attorney adding, my client is arbitrarily detained, and now his life is on the line. The man who immigrated to the U.S. from Cuba when he was 9 is on a hunger strike while in Africa, hoping to get the attention of the man he once supported.
He was very pro-Trump, super Trump supporter.
See? See? You see? This is the problem, man. Deuteronomy 17:15, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. And that's what you want, wanting the heathen to rule over you. That's what you get, man. This is why you Israelites get fucked up out here. Deuteronomy 17 verse 15 means that when Israel eventually desires a king, the monarch must be chosen by God, not the people. It must be an Israelite, not a foreigner. Very simple. Okay, he wants the Edomites to rule over him. He don't know he's Israel. He's probably an Israelite. He looked like an Edomite, you know, and he could be an Edomite. Who knows? Esau don't give a fuck. He was having kids with his slave babies and throwing their asses in slavery too. They would be technically Edomites. He was throwing them in slavery too. But he's probably an Israelite. Okay, so you ain't supposed to be voting for no devil, man.
Super Trump supporter.
Monica tells me she's very concerned about...
Shut up. ICE agents clashed with enraged New Yorkers during a Chinatown operation.
You got it. Just let it rain on me like, oh.
I saw that yesterday. It's just who cares? U.S. shutdown reaches 22nd day in 1.5 trillion funding.
The greatest economy in the world right now, by far, the United States. We have almost 18, now it was 17, now it's $18 trillion being poured into our country, and it's no time for shutdowns. I don't think it's affecting what we're doing, but it's too bad for a lot of people. We have a lot of good people that aren't working right now that should be, and it's because the Democrats want to try and renegotiate a deal that they had negotiated. They want $1.5 trillion given to illegal immigrants who came into the country, and it's going to hurt the health care of citizens of our country that have been paying into it, that have been working hard for it, that really deserve it. So we're never going to do that. It's not going to happen. And
that's funny. I talked to a lady today. She said she spends $900 a month on health insurance, man. So if that happens here, see, Massachusetts, we're a little spoiled. We don't pay. I mean, we do pay, but it's not. A lot of us got free health care, and all of that about to be taken away, man. You don't have to pay. You go to the hospital and you don't have any money, you're gonna pay for the whole thing. Ambulance ride is like, I don't even know how much. I think it's thousands of dollars to take an ambulance ride for no reason. You get shot, you might as well order an Uber and save some money. Cause taking an ambulance there, that's gonna cost you, man. Never mind what they do to you at the hospital. You know, so everything that you thought was gonna sustain you, if you don't have the Lord, man, none of that's gonna sustain you, man. You know, and a lot of people need medication and all of that type of stuff, man. That's why you gotta be praying to the Lord, man, that He open up a way for you, because it's about to get bad out here, man.
To do that, it's not going to happen, and I will tell you, deserve it. So we're never going to do that. It's not going to happen, and I will tell you, there are a lot of good Democrats that really want to make a deal, and I think all we need is 5 Democrats because we have a great support on the Republican side. So I think we need 5 Democrats, and there are a lot of them that want to make a deal. So I think at some point, common sense will prevail.
You don't have any common sense. You Edomites, not just the duck. The duck knows what he's doing. You Edomites have no clue what's going on, man. You have no clue. The U.S. government shutdown now in its 22nd day as of October 23rd. 2025 has furloughed federal workers, delayed military pay, and jeopardized SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans, marking the second longest in history. Republicans led by President Duck and Speaker Mike Johnson advanced clean funding bills, blocked 12 times by Senate Democrats demanding extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies to avert premium doublings for 21 million enrollees. Senator Jeff Merkley concluded a record 22-hour speech denouncing the impasse, while Senator John Fetterman urged bipartisan action amid rising human costs.
And our government remains closed, and I think that's failure. Hi, here we are, and our government remains closed, and I think that's failure. And I'm the guy that's going to consistently vote for country over party. I'm always going to vote for paying our military over the party. I'm always going to vote for paying the Capitol Police over my party. And I'm going to continue to fight for the 2 million Pennsylvanians that depend on SNAP to feed themselves. And I'm also going to fight for the same 400,020 Pennsylvanians that depend on those tax credits to make health insurance more affordable. 2 things are true, and now we can fight for all of them as long as our government is open. My vote is going to remain firmly on keeping our government open, and I'm going to continue to fight for all of those Pennsylvanians that I'm honored to represent here.
Who the hell is this? He's wearing a regular hoodie. Esau, you looking bad out here. Shot Arga, the only Democrat in country making any sense right now. 2 million Pennsylvanians depend on SNAP. 2 million Pennsylvanians depend on SNAP to feed their families. The rule out here. Senate Democrats have just blocked the 12th time President Duck and Republicans' clean funding bill to reopen the government.
Speak to some of the programs that Democrats want funding for in the $1.5 trillion list of demands. We've heard things like $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe, $3.9 million for LGBTQ democracy grants in the Balkans, things like this. You guys say this is about saving healthcare, but how do these pet projects fit?
Yeah, we have no idea what you're talking about or what Republican extremists fed you those talking points, but the reality is what we are doing is defending the health care of the American people. Yeah, we do want to restore the fact that the largest cut to Medicaid in American history has been visited upon the American people by Donald Trump and Republicans, even though they promised to love and cherish Medicaid. But instead of doing that, they cut about $1 trillion from Medicaid. And as a result of that fact, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across the country, including in Republican states like Georgia, like Alabama, and Republican states all across the country. And Republicans have visited the largest cut to Medicaid in American history on their own people. That's what we want to restore. We want to avoid the fact that because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill, what they did is to trigger the possibility of a $536 billion cut to Medicare, because Republicans have put a bullseye on Medicare and Social Security since those earned benefits were created. And yet we have a problem with the fact that Republicans want to devastate the Medicare of the American people. And why did they do that? Why did they cut Medicaid by almost $1 trillion? Because they want to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. And they made those massive tax breaks permanent, while at the same time can't even be bothered to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class Americans who are about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. The American people know that Democrats are fighting for them, for working class America, for middle class America, and for everyday Americans, and that Republicans continue to show up for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected.
Yes, sir.
It's
Damn, man, literally all you have to do is find a steady job. Man, the woman, it tells you you're gonna lament for the teats.
Going to suffer. We take that responsibility, and of course there will be, you know, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leveraged times we have, and of course there will.
Oh, I would love to have just in a devastating move for Democrats. Speaker Johnson is playing on repeat the number 2 House Dem admitting regarding the federal shutdown. Of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. It is one of the few leverage times we have. Brutal. Dems are losing ground big time. Chuck Schumer can't be happy with this. Yeah, man. It's only giving me a 16-minute clip. I would love to know what they said. All right. With Duck saying you got the greatest economy right now. That's what they saying. One of the highest ranking Democrats in our government just said this is about the government shutdown. Shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be families that will suffer. But it is one of the few leverage times we have. This is saying both of your parties, man. Both of your parties, they're through, man. This dude is just in Senator John Fetterman. No way in hell, man. Why is he wearing a hoodie? What the hell is he wearing, man? Yo, man, it's through. It's through. Why does he dress like that? Senator John Fetterman, casual style. That's not. Look at this dude, man. Yo, man. Senator John Fetterman waves to members of the media on Monday, April 17, 2023, on Capitol Hill in Washington. He got a car. Yeah, he cares about 2 million Pennsylvanians, man. Come on, man. That is just too funny. It says the stuffy Senate is now a bit less formal. Oh, man. For Fetterman, his signature hoodies and gym shorts were a sign of his recovery. Before he checked himself into the hospital, his staff had asked him to always wear suits, which he famously hates. But after a check with the Senate parliamentarian upon his return in April, he became clear that he could continue wearing the casual clothes that were often his uniform back at home in Pennsylvania, as long as he didn't walk onto the Senate floor. He still wears suits to committee meetings when they are required. Through, man. Through. Look like Joe's six-pack. But I'm ending right here. Lord's will, this was edifying. Shalom.